locks those budgets up or tightens up the belts a little, because you get people that hit the news and do the sky is falling reports, like we've got a recession coming, and then about the time we all calm down and we get a little hopeful, some other CEO crawls out of the woodwork and says the sky is falling again. It's not this quarter, it's next quarter. Just kidding. Makes me crazy.
Right. Well, I guess if you could truly predict all that, you'd make a lot of money and we'd have one reliable source, but unfortunately we don't.
Yeah, that's not the business I'm in. Oh, that's funny. Jerry, I see you missed the memo today for the show, the dress code memo. It's branded Polo Day.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. I should have sent it earlier. I apologize. Larry ran in sweatshirts a minute ago, right before we were live.
Yeah, I'll send yours in the mail, Jerry.
Yeah. Jerry has a million polos.
I need a couple more of those Crossroads shirts. That's what I need.
We should have some made. We should do the new colors. There we go. The old red, black, and white, but we should do the new colors. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about some fraud today. Are you ready to dive in, Larry?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's get going.
Welcome to the CXR channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
All right, everybody, welcome to another. I just got a pop-up that said I should join somebody else's podcast show that just started streaming. How dare they? How dare they broadcast at the same time as we do? I want to welcome everybody to the Recruiting Community Podcast. We do this weekly where we bring in TA leaders, practitioners from the space, friends and work family to talk about what's keeping them up at night and what they're working on. This is a live stream today, so we encourage you to join us. We're streaming on the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitter, the LinkedIn. You can find it at cxr.works/podcast. If you happen to be on a channel that's got a chat window, we're going to encourage you to go ahead and drop a question in there. Drop your LinkedIn profile in there. Do a little bit of networking and schmoozing. Tell us this thing's even working, and people are seeing what we're talking about. But we encourage you to join in with our guests today. We do often do a little overlay on the screen, little bottom third there to throw your question up. So pay attention to your grammar. You don't want to embarrass yourself. Your mom might call and be upset and all that good stuff. So with me today as my co-host, partner in crime, and my spirit animal is Mr. Crispin. Mr. Crispin, how are you?
I'm just fine. How about you?
Good. It's good to see you today, Jerry.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to share before we bring in Larry, we've done a shift recently on the CXR platform, on our community platform, and we've made a big shift in sort of how the content of the platform gets developed, gets delivered and pushed out to members. And I have to say, in my humble but correct opinion, it's kind of on fire.
It not only is, but I really was engaged this weekend.
I want to put it on the screen, but I can't because we have a mainstream. Imagine, if you will, a CXR version of sort of what your LinkedIn home screen looks like. So it kind of looks like that if you haven't seen it yet. And it's a feed in the middle of the activity in the community. So we have 4,000 members and alumni that are in this thing. And what I'm going to do, I have the screen up today. So the landing page today. So if you are logged in member, if you are alumni, you're going to see a particular view. If you're a corporate member, you're going to see a particular view. I mean, so all of the permissions are sort of set up. So it's a little bit differently, but let me just share some of the conversation topics that are happening right now. And Jerry, you can chime in on these. So, and I'm just going to go down. So in the alumni group, we have a video. We're talking about the AI dilemma. So there's a couple of podcasts and things that are shared in there because AI is obviously going to destroy the world. But there's some stuff shared in there. There is a post for corporate members where there's a discussion taking place for H-2B visas for that program there. Jerry, I saw you jumped in on that. Mm-hmm. There's a great thread on yellow versus gem. So we've got some folks going back and forth. This is in our corporate group talking about the comparison of those CRM systems and what's going on with that. That's a fun conversation we're watching. There's a performance metrics piece for corporate members. Internal mobility timelines blew up last week. That's a topic that was posted in the corporate member threads. A new one in corporate was clawback ownership of sign-on bonuses. So if you happen to be, if you haven't been logged in and you're checking that out, be sure that you give that a look. Referral bonuses for diversity hires has reemerged. So that was actually a content that was actually, I think, about a year ago and has come back. And folks are talking about that. We have the importance of feedback, early career pipeline in manufacturing industry. So an operations conversation, high volume recruiting that has come in for corporate. Chat GPT mega thread is in there now. We got people sharing what they're using from a prompting standpoint. We have
enough. I can't get through it.
It's on fire. That's what I'm saying. C2C companies posting as candidates on Indeed. That works well today with Larry. We're going to bring him in and talk a little bit about that, some fraud aspects. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's at CXR.works once you're logged in. And we think you're going to like it. You can easily post a question in the community. And it's just a wonderful update. And it's great to see everybody leaning back into the platform online. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
all right. So with that, we're going to bring in our superstar of the hour. There he is, Mr. Larry Nash. Larry, how are you?
Hey, good day, Chris and Jerry. Great to be here.
Good to see you, sir. Now, Larry, for those who maybe don't know who Larry Nash is, you want to kind of give us that escalator pitch of who you are. Give us a little bit of your background. I mean, we can look you up on LinkedIn and see EY for 20 years, Arthur Andersen for 12 years. Like, we get that, but give us a little bit of meat on the bone about who is Larry and why should we be listening to you today?
Yeah, that's a deep question, Chris. Who am I?
As deep as it gets on here, Larry.
Deep, yeah. Well, so yeah, I've been at EY for 20 years. I have the privilege of leading our US and America's talent acquisition team, which has been a true honor. We have an incredibly gifted team of recruiters, and we have the privilege of selling the EY brand and selling a great amount of opportunities for people. I've been, I guess maybe one fun fact you mentioned, I was at Arthur Andersen before EY, and prior to Arthur Andersen, I was at Price Waterhouse. So I've spent my whole 30 plus career in professional services, Chris and Jerry. So I'm either very consistent or boring. I don't know, depending on who you ask, but being in professional services, there's just a great deal of energy and innovation. And I loved being in this industry for so long. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, originally from the New York area, and have three beautiful young daughters who, as I shared with you earlier, I am their favorite chauffeur these days, wherever they want to go.
Uber daddy, that's what you are.
Yeah.
Or Lyft daddy. Would Lyft daddy be better than Uber daddy?
Yeah, depends on the day, maybe.
That might be. I might be. So quick shout out to Tanisha and Carrie. Good morning. I think we threw that up when we were coming in up on the screen, but good morning to you too. Thanks for joining the show and saying hello. So Larry, we're going to talk about recruiting fraud. And so I have to say, when I hear the phrase recruiting fraud, I think fraudulent recruiter. But it's not actually the topic today, right? We're talking, well, it could be. It could kind of be actually when you think about how the equation works. But can you tell us what that means to you? Because you had a post on LinkedIn and we reached out because we think this comes up from time to time and has been accelerating. So you want to kind of give us your take on the sort of the lay of the land for this?
Yeah. And by no means am I an expert on recruitment fraud, whether it's how to do it or how to avoid it. But I did a post because we've been seeing such an increase of job seekers coming to us with complaints about fictitious jobs that they were offered at EY that obviously weren't real jobs. And they were communicating with who they thought were real people who worked at EY. And these schemes, can be very elaborate, from what looks like real text messages to video interviews to obviously offer letters. So we were concerned because the number of people coming to us has increased. And as I and my team have done some more research, it is pretty extraordinary what the increase has been. So since 2019, we've seen a 100% increase in the number of fraud cases that are reported. I think there's a lot more that aren't reported. So to give you an idea, about almost 30,000 job scams were reported to the Federal Trade Commission last year. Average loss to individual of $2,000. So it's incredible, right? If you're a victim.
So that's I think that's staggering, Larry, like 30,000. But can you talk a little bit about like how on earth am I losing any money as a candidate? Like what's happening on that front? What should candidates be aware of?
Yeah. So this is really what compelled me to write a post about this, Chris, is here are job seekers who, variety of personal circumstances. Maybe they've been out of work for a while, or they need to make more money, or whatever the circumstance is, but they get contacted or respond to this ad and they think it's legitimate. And then often what is happening is, well, then please, I need you to provide personal information. I need you to provide your bank account, your social security number. I need you to lay out money for a computer and we'll reimburse you. So some of these things, because the offer letter and the processes seem legitimate, people, unfortunately are falling for. And I think it's horrible. And when they start to see that maybe it was a fraud, and let's say it was for a EY job, that's when we start hearing about it. And, there's nothing we could do other than help them, report it to the FTC, the Better Business Bureau. Even the FBI has a center that investigates some of these sophisticated crimes. So to me, Chris and Jerry, the more we can educate job seekers, and inform them of the due diligence they could do, of the red flags that may be there, then they could avoid this. Obviously, avoid the financial loss and any other just heartbreaking aspect that can come out of a job they thought they were going to have.
So go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I was going to say, so first of all, I didn't realize the scale was that high. So that surprises me. And I'm going, oh, well, I like being surprised in some respects. In other cases, I'm going, oh my God, that's a bad surprise. Do you then look at how I can, on my website, inform candidates that that EY doesn't ask for money in any respect at any step of the way? We never ask for your Social Security number until after you're hired and on board, or those kinds of things, because there still are companies that do in fact ask for your Social Security number as part of their application, which I think is awful. But I think we all need to be able to put that information, or more of us should be putting that information on our websites.
Jerry, you're exactly right. So as we started to see this increase, as it was happening, we'd be putting more posts on LinkedIn just to spread it out to the network. And then a few months ago, we've added some education for job seekers and explains all the things. What is it? How can you avoid it? If you think you're a victim of it, here's places to report it. And here's what we as EY do and don't do. And as we researched the wording, I mean, if you just Google recruitment frauds and look, there are so many organizations who are putting that on their websites, which is terrific. So I do think it's happening more and more. And if an organization doesn't yet have it on, I do think it, as you're suggesting, it's a really good idea to include.
Well, and I think we have a responsibility to tell our members as well. And obviously this conversation will be helpful in doing that. So that's great.
It seems to me it's just another audience for what we have just grown accustomed to, and that's email, like the email phishing scams, right? We now know if we get something in our email, because we've been conditioned for years and years and years, if we get something in our email that says go here to pay your bill, we know to just not click on that, but go directly in, well, most of us know, directly in our browser. And we expect that for bank, right? For bank information and for, things that are tied directly to us financially. I think a lot of people still don't expect that for employment. Like it's almost like a different channel on your brain. The dial's just a little bit to the left, and you're not expecting to be conned for a job.
Well, it's a great analogy, Chris, and that's why you can be diligent, right? If the what I've seen in unpacking some of the instances we've seen is it'll say our name and it'll even have our brand and logo, but it's from a personal email address, not the company email address. So that's a red flag for any phishing scheme. That's where we could be diligent. If you're not applying directly to the company website, right, and somebody sent you a link, I think that's another red flag, right? Every company has their jobs posted on their website. So if you're unsure, look at their website for it. Unfortunately, they do make these jobs can make it out to job boards, right? It's hard to police everything. So at times, Chris, they may think this looks legitimate. It's on, this job board, but it doesn't take them to the company site. It takes them somewhere else. So you got to be, sometimes if it looks too good, feels too good, maybe you ought to check a little bit more on it.
And they are becoming much more sophisticated. I would suspect that these personal notes that you've looked at probably look a lot better than they might have 3 or 4 years ago, where they don't articulate very well. Now the punctuation is done well, the argument is made clearly, and all of those kinds of things. So I've noticed a significant increase in the scams that come my way, and apparently I get a few of them myself. It's not just for jobs.
No, it's not. And yeah, it is sophisticated. And oftentimes they're saying they're a legitimate employee of your company. So if you look up that person's name, you will see them, but it's not necessarily that person that is reaching out. So you've got to pay close attention to this. And Jerry, I don't have enough research to see like where is it more commonly occurring? Because I think it's occurring more in remote work jobs at times, with also maybe more on the administrative level, but those are just the ones I've seen. It really could be in any job category.
Well, you're global, so obviously you would see them across a big geographic range in terms of how they're being done. I think that's an issue. I do think I've seen a lot at the at lower levels. They don't make as much money, so it may not be $2,000. But I remember in one of the previous efforts, a number of hotels, for example, where there were people showing up expecting to start that day at a given hotel, and they had bought something, I don't know, something that related to clothes or whatever that would be available for them when they got there. And so they were coming in expecting to be onboarded, and the numbers were pretty large. And so I think it's where the scams think they're getting the most bang for their buck in terms of how they're setting it up. And obviously they are getting more sophisticated.
And I think they're different kinds of scams too. So earlier I said fraudulent recruiter. So as a reminder, we have a live chat. So if you've got a fun story or horror story that you want to drop in there. But we just got, so Pete Bugnato, who's an alumni member of ours, wrote in that about 5 weeks ago, this is him. I reported to Indeed that I had reached out to a candidate on their platform, but instead of receiving a reply from the candidate, an agency reached out to me asking if I was open to C2C opportunities for that role. And so when he reached out to Indeed, he said nothing came of it. He said basically they said they would quote log it, and that was their actual suggestion was, don't talk to that third party recruiter. But we're also seeing, I guess, in a desperate time, you've got folks in sort of trying to play the system on that end also, and work some sort of deal with the organization to hire the talent.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chris, you mentioned earlier about AI, ChatGPT, right? Those tools, that capabilities are only going to make it more sophisticated. So it's going to require, I think, a greater deal of due diligence on a job seeker's part to make sure they're looking at the email address, obviously avoid any upfront financial payments. Check it out. Check out if a name is used. I mean, really call into the company to see if that person works there, and just have your guard up a little bit more so you don't get taken in by this.
That email address hit me just about a month ago. I'm active with my college professional, the Alumni Association. So from a professional point of view, I'm doing some work on some projects, and the head of the Alumni Association sent me a note saying that we wanted to do something to improve our ability to support veterans who are alumni. And would I head up a project? And I said, well, I'll talk about it. Let me know what you need. So I responded immediately, not thinking anything. It sounded really, appropriate. And what I got back was this thing that why don't I take out from Wegmans and Walmart and Target various debit cards or whatever the hell it was, and then send this person send the head of the Alumni Association the numbers so that we could help the veterans. And I'm going, that sounds stupid. What in God's name are you asking me to do? Is what I'm thinking. And then I looked at the email address, and it clearly was some kind of weird shit. And I'm going, oh, it's in a way it's embarrassing. But then I sent a note to him, the actual head of the Alumni Association. I said, I don't know how they're doing this, but you need to look into this, because there's a lot of volunteers who are my age out there, and I may be slow, but there are some who are
any age
slower than me.
Just moving quickly through their emails. Here's one. We've got one in chat. I have not heard of this yet. This just came up. We're not getting, whoever you are, I apologize, is not actually showing me your name. It says there were a lot of scams last year with links that were taking over your LinkedIn recruiter. Had someone take over on accident and sent over 200 in-mails.
Wow.
That's not, so they are getting a little, or sure they did, but they are actually getting like pretty advanced.
Yeah, Jerry, going back to your point, right? So looking at the email, right? That's an easy thing to see if it's not the company email address. But many organizations will offer training on how to spot phishing and things that are not right, but not everybody has access to that.
Right.
And that's what's hard. So a lot of these things look really legitimate. So the FTC has a section on their website called Job Scams, and it has a lot of information on what they are, types of it, and things to do to avoid it. So if you don't have access to some of this learning on how to spot it, that's a great resource to use.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll pull this up. It is kind of an interesting, well, yeah, why would it be an easy URL to paste in? Anyway, just Google FTC job scams. It's third link down that comes up. But Larry, it does pose the same challenge that when I was a practitioner and we would have waves of this come in, your hands are kind of tied, because you only control the property, the real estate that you can control. So you can put a notice on your website, which is what we did. I think that's kind of futile. What that's going to do is catch some complainers that come in, and it does draw a message that you take it seriously. But I don't know that actually curtails any of that activity. I mean, do you think that's active? Is there something else you could be doing as an organization, all of us?
Yeah, I think things like this. Now, this podcast is probably going more to the TA space, so not to the job seekers who really need that education, Chris. But I think the more we as a community can educate candidates and job seekers on the fact that this is out there, and what they can do to avoid it or spot it, I think is something we all have a responsibility for. So podcasts like this help, posts like this help, messaging about the FTC stuff helps. But yeah, I don't think there's no simple way that you're going to stop this.
Yeah, it's not going to be simple, but it occurs to me that collectively we as employers, let's say, so the EYs of the world, the Amazons of the world, whatever, should also be trying to influence where you post. So, for example, you're writing checks to a number of Indeeds and other organizations, and some of these scams are because of posts that may be fraudulently put onto other job boards, if you will. That's how the candidates are seeing them. They've got to be seeing them somewhere. So if I'm a scam artist, I'm going to try to manipulate my ability to get my posts out there. And then when stuff comes back, that's when I'm dealing with that. So it seems we should be influencing collectively our partners, if you will, to do some of that work as well. And I suspect there are some job boards that are offering some of those things.
Yeah. And I do think Indeed, LinkedIn, all of them certainly are in the know because they're hearing a lot of these complaints, and I think they are reviewing their processes. But it's hard to be perfect in this space. But I think, Jerry, they're swimming in the boat with us on this.
Yeah, and it looks like we have in the chat a little bit of information about what Indeed is doing, which is great.
Yeah, Pete came back, full disclosure. Good to see you, Pete. Came back, said quick update on the profiles on Indeed. They did escalate it recently. They're investigating how to prevent this, as we've now had a number of our sourcers report the same type of C2C response as he experienced. Also says, so many times, hold on, it jumped off my screen. There we go. Experience, we've identified 3 company agencies who've been involved who are taking their employees who are W-2'd with them and posting them on Indeed. Fascinating to try. Yeah, interesting. To post them on Indeed to try to market their contractors. Really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
There's another one in here. One more I'll just share. One of the companies I've been almost scammed by, I caught simply by a missing letter in the email address. Another sent me their banking information for me to pay my credit card debt as a benefit to me as a new employee. I refused the money. She literally got upset with me. How dare you not fall for my fraud? For those who are listening, not watching, we do have the FTC job scams info. I put the URL up, consumer.ftc.gov/articles/job-scams. Now that really ugly URL has me thinking, I wonder if there were a collaborative, sort of a concerted effort by employers to just tackle from an SEO standpoint and all create a scam page that refers people back to FTC or some sort of disclaimer page, like on a front, to just sort of tackle that. I don't know how you'd optimize it so candidates would find it more easily, but again, is it futile because we don't control the real estate we don't control? I don't know.
Yeah, Chris, I don't think there's any bad ideas here. I don't know the answer. I just know, right, what can we do? What can we control? And we can control making this more known and being out there talking about it and what to do and how to avoid it.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, look, we applaud you. Are a champion in the space, Larry, and we really applaud you sort of leaning in on this and helping to raise awareness. I think it's great. We'll post in the member and alumni forums if anybody's got some ideas on the topic. I think Pete has started that in the thread, so we can of course add to that. I think it would be fun for the industry to stand something up. The pessimist in me wonders, like, how can we make a difference other than yelling into the abyss and hoping everybody hears.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's important though for all of us to realize that the problem, it may be periodic in terms of its up and down, but at various points, it's pretty substantial in terms of what's happening out there. So I applaud the fact that periodically we need to discuss it.
Yeah. Good call out by Carrie Newen. We've got one more I'll share too. We worked with legal regularly with scams at CVS. Always encourage candidate to report if they had any doubt. Good call out, Carrie. I mean, putting something as a reminder that, this is an official email. If in doubt, click here. Like if you don't see this statement on any of our communications, could be fraud. I mean, that great idea. We got another one from Monique. Good to see you in here, Monique. Greetings all. Another concern working with early talent and university students for internships. Many were scammed with application process because they were unaware. We created a presentation to partner with the Career Services Office for them. That's great.
Yeah, NACE obviously should be aware of some of those. Sure.
Good stuff. All right. Well, look, I want to wrap there because we promised these are usually going to be about 20 minutes. And I want to share a couple events that are coming up that Jerry and I are going to be at. Larry, hang out with us. Don't go. I'm not going to kick you into the green room yet. So hang out with us.
Okay, I'm here.
While we talk about upcoming events. Okay, so we'll just do April really quickly. I want to remind everybody, Jerry and I will be at Unleash America. I've pulled it up on the screen, April 26th and 27th. That's at the Caesars Forum. It's in Las Vegas. This is one of our favorite events. Well, I'll speak for myself, Jerry. You speak for yourself. This is one of my favorite events. Mark Coleman and that team just does an amazing job with this. It's really been fun to sort of see them evolve the last number of years. And then, of course, the pandemic just turned everything upside down, and they're back. So this will be a fun one. I have a panel on TA transformation that I am super excited about. We've got some powerhouses on that panel. Jerry, I think you are helping with some judging, I think, for the startup.
Yep. We're going to take a look at a few technology tools.
All right, good stuff. It's a sweet spot. It's a sweet spot for you. And if you're going to be at that, Jerry and I'd like to invite you, if you're a listener, to the CXR. We're doing a cocktail thing on Tuesday night. Nothing fancy, couple of hours, open bar. Come and join us. So you can find that. You can find all that, the events and the details in that, and RSVP for the invite only event. You can do that out at cxr.works. Additionally, in May, I'll just jump ahead a little bit. We have the Empower HR Talent Acquisition event that's in Phoenix. That's by hr.com. We're excited about that. We're going to be facilitating a number of roundtables. And if I'm going to tell you, I was just going through, so there's about a dozen or so roundtables. Some of the topics that are kind of interesting to me that we're going to be facilitating: how to minimize dependency on LinkedIn. We're not supposed to say that. ChatGPT and show how to use ChatGPT to personalize the candidate experience. There were three more that stood out: how to build internal mobility programs. That is a hot one within the CXR community that keeps coming back. Sourcing rules of engagement, which was a fun thread. I think we had about 30 responses on the thread. We did a complete hour dedicated to that online last week. I'm sure that's going to come back with a follow-up. And then recruiting function efficiencies. A lot of people right now trying to reinvent some of these strategies as we sort of find our new norms. So I'm telling you, there are dozens of these roundtable topics. If you're interested in maybe co-facilitating or helping with just one of those roundtables, and you want to join us out at Phoenix, let Jerry and I know. We might have a hookup for you. We might be able to help you out. Come out and chime in on those tables. Jerry, am I missing anything?
Nope. I think you got it. Oh, yes. I'm taking a dozen folks to Israel in 2 weeks.
There it is.
And it's already set, so you can't kind of join it at this point. But 12 CHROs and TA leaders are going to we do this every year, different country, same issue. We want to see university professors, students, the government, and meet with employers to find out how they engage in that country. And it's always a great learning, stepping outside the box and then going, oh my God, I can't believe they do this here. that kind of thing.
Well, you've done Cuba, Japan. Is this the third one?
India, China, Brazil, Czech Republic, Hungary. Yeah, been a lot of places.
Yeah, we need to get you more. One of your hats should be a Carmen Sandiego hat.
I just love the idea of stepping outside the box in these different countries and realizing that culture defines recruiting in many respects.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and I love I did the Japan trip with you. Yeah. Life-changing for me. Really, really, really was. It sounds dramatic, but it was. And to literally go and live in the homes of some farmers Some people to completely embed yourself in the culture, and then the next day go talk to 50 graduate students who are this concept of lifetime employment. Like, if you haven't, it's probably too late to go to Israel with Jerry, but you need to talk to Jerry about
next year. Pick another country. I don't know, Ireland or Vietnam.
What, Vietnam? Okay, all right. I think we can go to Ireland anyway. We should have fun with that. One last call out, and we'll let everybody go. We have May 22nd and 24th. We have our in-person operations meeting. We are going to open up that meeting. Normally these are members only. We're going to open it up for 3 alumni members. So if you're an alumni member and you would like to come to the talent operations meeting, and obviously you're still enrolled. We're not looking for a retiree. We're not looking for somebody necessarily who's on the hunt, but we're looking for somebody who's still in the space, still doing the work, or recently still in the space doing the work. And you think that you should be one of those 3 folks we're going to pull into those closed door session, let us know. It's May 22nd and 24th. We're going to be at Train Technologies headquarters. I'm super excited about that. You know where to reach us. It's just at cxr.works. All right, Larry, anything you want to take us out with?
No, just Chris and Jerry, really appreciate you creating this forum and continuing to raise awareness. Really enjoyed the conversation and some of the examples that we saw in the chat. And Jerry, want to wish you a wonderful trip to Israel. And
cool.
That sounds really exciting. Look forward to the debrief.
You got it.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Larry. Like I said, you are a king among men. Keep pushing this. And if you've got updates, let us know. We'll be sure to share them with the community at large.
Okay, we'll do.
Good stuff, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/careercrossroads, and on Instagram at careerxroads. We'll catch you next time.